Yes, India showed everyone last night who the defending champions of the T20 World Cup really are. They toppled Zimbabwe to stay on course for a spot in the semi-final. South Africa, of course, beating West Indies earlier yesterday, means the match between West Indies and India is essentially the quarter-final. And India looks like they ticked some boxes in Chepauk. The batting lineup was in sync, notched up their highest total in the World Cup so far. The batters, shot on form, also came to the party. So from an Indian lens, all seems good, doesn't it? So what was the biggest plus for India as they head into their last Super 8 game, and is there anything that they really need to worry about? Let's start by talking about the biggest plus, at least on the face of it, India's batting. India needed this to click, especially after being battered in Ahmedabad against South Africa. And in that regard, Chepauk was perfect. Sanju Samson walked out to open the innings with Abhishek Sharma to a very enthusiastic Chennai crowd that has already adopted him. Remember, he's shifted to the Chennai Super Kings Indian Premier League franchise. That happened just some months ago. So it was a bit of a homecoming for this opener who's not played in that position for a while regularly, and he did not disappoint. You can look at that individual score of just 24 and say that's nothing for an opener, especially in this format. But that 24 of 15 was gold. He struck the ball clean. He looked close to vintage Sanju Samson that we know of and remember from the past. And importantly, his short stint out in the middle with Abhishek Sharma was all that was needed for the youngster to get his first 50 of the World Cup. Do you know what that amounts to? It amounts to confidence, and confidence is a game changer here. That's the real deal in that dressing room today, and particularly after the way they were scarred in their previous game. Abhishek Sharma did not charge down. He played a very calculated knock, and that's what solidity at the top looks like. You don't need 100-run partnerships or massive opening stands to truly signify change or validate that opening pair. You need comfort, you need confidence. Abhishek Sharma and Sanju Samson opening with Ishan Kishan at one drop spells comfort. You saw Sanju talking later on of being asked about what opening with Abhishek Sharma was like, and you saw a genuine fond smile there. They are from very different states, very different parts of the country, and are poles apart when it comes to demeanor, when it comes to mannerisms. But somehow, these two at the top of the Indian batting lineup work. They just fit. Call it that, or just being in Chepauk. That is India's cricketing heartbeat. Sanju Samson and Abhishek Sharma at the top, a big tick, and one that solves India's starting troubles at least. And that's what a solid start, not a big one, a solid start does to the rest of the lineup, the others who come in. That just automatically translates to them. Tilak Varma was among the runs after a bit of a gap there. Hardik Pandya's 50 came in the right time, a blistering knock that will do this lineup a world of confidence, especially lower down the order. So you had that top order settled start, and you had a good finish too. Suddenly, they look fierce. They look like they are in sync, and they're prepared for any kind of opposition.
It's important when openers give a good start. It follows the same confidence to the number 3, 4 and 5. That's what we discussed. And we want to see the fear in opposition bowlers that these guys are ready to hit each and every ball.
That there is intent, aggressive intent, and an attitude of not backing out of a fight. Something we did not see when they were up against South Africa, and that's what this win against Zimbabwe really can do. Turn on that switch of intent when it comes to the bigger matchups. That's what they're expecting down the road from here on. So it's something former cricketers as well picked up on. So yes, that's a big relief there. Of course, that 50 by Abhishek Sharma, you knew what that meant to him. You knew what that meant to that dugout. You saw that they might not have been very clean there, not the best effort. Of course, Zimbabwe's delivery is also a little loose on the field too, a few second chances, but they'd be happy. The one thing, of course, that India will continue to be wary of course, has to be a bit of that bowling. Now, while most of the performances and spells were heartening, did India manage to keep that intensity up while defending that target, however big it was? Was there a let-up in between that just allowed the opposition in? Will this hold up in bigger match scenarios with, say, a place in the final on the line? Was Akshar Patel effective enough? Now, these are questions that are bound to prop up.
To be very honest, we could have been a little more clinical with the ball. We'll definitely tighten a few screws when we go and play the West Indies team.
But again, the answers to some of those lie in the decisions India took themselves in the tournament so far. Resting players and then bringing them back in, switching up that unit. Now, these tend to have an effect on the rhythm of the player in question and the bowling unit more than you'd like to think. Because the mind is not at ease, and when it comes to a battle between mind and body, usually only the former triumphs. But all things aside, India should be pleased, more than relatively pleased with the way things have panned out. Because more importantly, it's a happy dressing room now after that game, with moments that were celebrated, and that can only result in a positive momentum going forward. And when those two things are in place, the rest almost always tend to follow. And that's what India will be hoping for when they take on the West Indies, because that's not going to be as easy as Zimbabwe was. They may have encountered a searing loss against red-hot South Africa, but West Indian side bats deep. It has teeth in that bowling attack and can be lethal on their day, especially in a venue they have not lost a World Cup game in, the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. So India surely has its task cut out.
The Narayan Hiti Palace was lit for dinner. The royal family gathered. Laughter echoed through marble halls. But soon, it all changed. Gunshots rang out, one after another. A night that would shatter a kingdom. In hours, the royals were assassinated. Not in a war or a coup, but in a massacre inside the palace walls. Catch the full story on The Assassination, Saturday at these times.